Hello, what is up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to or watching the Powercast. And today we will be recapping Power Book 2 Ghost Season 4, Episode 9, and the title of the episode is Married to the Game. What an episode, what an ending. I'm joined today by Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. How are you doing, Richard?
Doing good, Gary. What's up, listeners and viewers?
What's up, indeed? And I'm also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How are you doing today, Dana?
I'm excited. It's been a week, it's been a season, it's been a show, and we are at the one more lap to go, and then we'll be done.
Indeed, indeed. One more episode, one more week, and Ghost is all done. So yeah, I'm very curious what's gonna happen there. But yeah, props to you, Miss Dana Abercrombie, for the interviews. Like the interviews have been great lately. I watched the Braden one. Very much enjoyed that one. Especially seeing how he's been acting in the character has been acting like these past few weeks. It was interesting to hear from.
That's
Go
that's
ahead.
that's my little crackhead right over there, Braden. Not to be honest, but I do want to thank him for that interview and being really open. It was like, look, I got other plans. I don't want to be doing this forever. This is not Grey's Anatomy. Let's go. So yeah,
Is Grey's Anatomy still going? Because like that show like never ends. I
they
swear.
just had their season. I believe it was either 21 or 22. Thursday. It
Wow.
was last Thursday. I'm
Wow.
tired, man. I'm tired.
Yeah. Well, maybe the next edition of Power will last that long too. Like maybe it will be around for the next 20 years. Whatever they decide to do. So brace yourselves, because we could be seeing Power for a long time now. But yeah. So interesting episode. Social media has been buzzing. Like the Power community is on fire right now because of the significance of this episode. So let's get right to our takeaways. I do want to give a quick shout outs to the people. Thanks for all of the support, all of the comments every week. We appreciate you all. Um, and yeah, please do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts and comments as well. And we will respond to that. But yeah, let's get right into the takeaways this week because it's already been a couple days since the episode aired, so we need to really really give these takeaways. Like we need to let loose with our thoughts and opinions. And I will be going first this week, so I'll get right into it. So yeah, I do want to give Mary J her flowers, for being a part of this series for the last 4 years, the last 4 seasons and everything like that. So, of course, we know that Monet Tejada was murdered, was gunned down by Noma and her squad in this episode. And yeah, since season one, Monet has played a pivotal part in the Power series. She's you could argue that she's been the main character alongside Tariq St. Patrick. um, and she's not known for being the best mother at all. She's been a terrible mother to her kids in the past. And she's done some very questionable things like hiding Zeke and killing their father, and doing all these grimy things, and having her kids involved in the drugs from a young age and all that stuff. So she hasn't been a great mother. But one thing we can give her is that in this season 4, she's been trying to redeem herself. She has been trying to make peace with her children, and just resolve that feeling inside that she has, because she knows that she's done wrong. She knows she probably wasn't the best mother. She knows she's affected the trajectory of her children's lives with her actions. So she has been trying to redeem herself throughout this season. And even in this episode, with her conversation with Kane, I believe it was before the wedding, at the penthouse and everything. She has that conversation with him, and she tells him, that she loves him in a very sincere manner. So she's been trying. She's been trying to change her relationship to improve her relationship with her children. She tried to be there for Diana when she lost her child and everything. So she's trying. She was trying. But in her desperation to protect her child, she was sadly gunned down. And what was interesting was, when Noma was trying to get Kane to choose between her or Monet. And this is something that's been a topic of discussion online as well. But Kane, he opened up about something by saying that, there's people out there who hurt children, and he alluded to the fact that he might have been abused in some way. And it was Monet that was there for him when he went through that. And, in that moment, he kind of chose, Monet. And I guess that's also kind of an explanation of why he has been such a mother's boy, why he's, he always goes back to her, why he, has that relationship with her. So that was interesting. Definitely. That was interesting. It would have been cool to see them explore that a bit more, but I know they're pressed for time with these storylines. Like, there's so much going on, not enough episodes. But that was very interesting, and definitely very emotional to see Kane, watching his mother die, essentially. And then, you have Drew and Diana. They show up to try and, ward off the other gunmen and Noma and stuff. And then she dies with her children around her, which is probably how she would have wanted it. And, as Dana's name states, her last words were "my babies," so that, I think that's how she would have wanted to go out, so yeah, salute to Mary J for, Mary J. Blige for portraying this character, Monet Tejada. I do think this death was needed, at some point. So, it didn't come as a surprise. Like, I was almost expecting it, especially with, some of the touching moments she had throughout this episode. But still, they kind of done it justice. You had the Hail Mary playing during her final showdown and everything, which was an interesting song choice, mostly because of the name and everything. But but still, it's a great song. Like, that's one of my favorite Tupac songs. So yeah, interesting choice there. But yeah, Monet Tejada is no longer with us, and I'm anxious to see, like, I'm interested to see how they handle it from here on. Like, I do believe Drew and Kane are going to fight over this death a little bit. I think they're going to blame each other. One might blame the other. Drew might blame Kane. Kane might blame Drew. But I do think eventually the mission is going to be set, and that mission is to take out Noma at all costs. Like, that's going to be the mission of the next episode, I believe. Like, they have to get Noma. They have to avenge their mother, and I think that mission is going to unite them and put them on the same page again. And Tariq will likely also be a part of that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see the fallout of Monet's death, because she was such a major part of the show. But yeah, that's my first takeaway. So shouts to Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. and his name right there, Tariq Saint Whacktrick. That's a funny name. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that. So, first of all, shouts to Michael Rainey Jr. Great rising talent, I believe. Honestly, I believe he needs to leave this show and do other things, because I would like to see him do like a different range of acting, because I do see the potential in him. Like I think he could be a big deal. Um, I don't, whether that happens or not, I'm not sure, but yeah, shouts to Michael Rainey Jr. I want to do that first of all, because I'm not talking about him when I say all of this. So shouts to the actor. Um, but I have to say that Tariq is not an apex predator, and the promise of this season was that Tariq was going to turn into the apex predator, and that this was going to be war, and he wasn't going to be playing any games. He even threw a tantrum in this episode, where he was kicking and screaming and throwing stuff around and pushing down shelves in a warehouse, basically saying like, I'm Tariq St. Patrick, I killed my father. Like, you know, um, so yeah, like they want us to think that he's this apex predator, but he's not. Now, I do give him credit. There are times where the character shows confidence and strength. Um, I feel like if anything, he could be better as a strategist mentally than his father. Like, because he's in college and everything, and he's studying, and he does show a lot of he shows a lot of intellect during his classes and things like that. So he could be a great you know uh strategist, basically, in the war room and everything. But when it comes to getting down and dirty, he falters a bit too much for my liking. We saw him get manhandled by Zion. We saw Salim kind of like rough him up a bit, and that's why the gun went off, basically. um and Kane has usually got the better of him also. Tariq often run. I think at the start of the season, Tariq was running from Kane at the school. So I mean, yeah, he's not really a match for Kane at all. Um, but he does show, there are points where he shows strength. I will say that in that scene where Monet and Tariq had, killed the Russians, and they were chopping off their fingers, and using the pliers to pluck out their teeth or whatever. That didn't come across as believable for Tariq. I don't see him doing that. To be honest, like I don't. He seemed a little too calm doing that, like he's done it before or something. Like I just don't see it. I'm sorry. Um, and I feel like the story is all about him being Ghost's successor, but I just don't see that yet in the character. Now, Ghost would have, like, at the end of season 3, if that was Omari Ghost, he would have killed Monet. He wouldn't have need Tasha to do it for him. She showed up to basically save Tariq and do it for him. I don't think that happens with Ghost, with OG Ghost. And then in this episode, I believe Ghost would have, at the confessional booth, Ghost would have shot right through the curtain. Like he wouldn't have wasted any time. He would have shot right through the curtain, taking no chances. I understand that they wanted to advance the plot. They wanted to Tariq had to know that Carter has the footage, so that's why the conversation between them was necessary. But how did he let Carter take the gun from him like that? Like he took that like he was Jackie Chan or something. Like this isn't Rush Hour, man. Like this is Power. Like how did he how did he let that happen? Like I don't get it. Yeah, like I just, for me personally, I feel like whatever spin-off we're moving to next, whatever new iteration of the show we're moving to, I feel like Tariq needs a strong character to kind of connect with, like a Tommy, for example, because Kanan has taught Tariq, like he taught him a lot and everything. He took him under his wing, but I just feel like Tariq hasn't reached his full potential yet. He hasn't fully become the successor of Ghost, and he hasn't become the apex predator. So I think like if Tommy were to come back, if they were to fuse the shows together and have Tommy and Tariq together in the future, I feel like that would be good for the character to really mold him into that character that they want him to be. To have Tommy at his side, kind of like, mentoring him and showing him how things are done, like, and everything like that. I feel like, I would watch that, and it would be more believable. But, it's like they want us to believe this college kid is capable of all these, all these things that Ghost and Tommy spent, maybe like 20 years of their lives kind of, learning how to do. It just doesn't come across as believable for me. And he faltered in this episode, and he gave Carter, he put the power back in Carter's hands. Of course, he is the reason why Carter was able to warn Noma, and that led to the death of Monet. So I have a question about that later on that we need to discuss, about about whether Tariq should be blamed. But yeah, I just don't see it for Tariq, and I'm wondering what they're going to do in this next episode, because in the trailer, if I'm reading the trailer correctly, it looks like they have Carter tied up on the seat and everything, and it seems like they let him go for whatever reason. Now maybe Carter has a plan in place and he makes them aware of it. Like maybe he tells them, "Look, I have these videos ready to be sent out. Nico's going to send these videos of you killing Zion," and maybe he has the Salim thing as well. Maybe he found the body, and so maybe he warns Tariq, and he's like, "Look, let me go, and I can stop all of this from coming out, and you'll be safe. You won't get busted or whatever." Like, and maybe that's why he lets him go. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it just seems like Tariq, he gets set on, taking out these people, but then he always goes back on it. He never fully goes through with the plan. He never sees it through. The only time he really like caught a body and it felt, like well done was with Junior at the start of the episode. The way he did that, he handled that very well. Like that was very gangster. That was very Ghost, but since then we haven't really seen that same Tariq, in my opinion. So I want to see how they're going to end this show, like, based on that, because right now it really does feel like Kane is the main character at this point. Like to me, like it just feels like that I'm more excited to see what he's going to do in the next episode than Tariq, to be honest with you. So yeah, that is my takeaways. Now this was a very like straightforward episode. Like so, I didn't have a whole lot more takeaways. Like that was pretty much it. It was just those two, but there is a lot for us to discuss in the questions and discussions. So I'll save that for there. But yeah, this episode, like it was very entertaining. I'll say that. Like there are certain plot points that are a little questionable with how this episode was set up, but it was it was an entertaining watch for sure, and it does get me curious for the finale. And like okay, so one of the things I'll say is with Drew and Diana, the dynamic between them, because they're at the hen party or whatever it was. I mean the stag do, for Kane, where you had Lil Durk and everything. Diana and Drew have they have a heart to heart almost, and Diana does kind of touch on how she's been feeling, and the fact that she wasn't able to complete her test because she's feeling the stress and depression and everything from all the stuff that's been happening to them, and also losing the baby and almost dying herself. And that's very understandable, and that I'm glad they took the time to mention that. And then they immediately go into Drew, who talks about his art and everything, and the fact that there's a new opportunity. And then he talks about he has these concerns about Carter, about not he like, first of all, he says, like, I like feeling needed, you know, by Carter. I like feeling important and all this stuff. And to me, I'm just like, doesn't Diana feel anything about this? Because it was Carter's team. Like, Carter's team is the reason why your baby was taken. Like, it was Felicia who was part of Carter's team. If Carter never came into their lives, it wouldn't have happened. And Drew is just happily expressing how, you know, he feels needed by Carter and he's enjoying working with him and all this stuff. Like, don't you feel any kind of way about this at all? Like, it just feels a bit too casual for me. Like, I know she expressed that she's upset, and she does tell Drew, like, I don't think you should, you know, keep helping this crooked cop or whatever. But to me, I'm like, doesn't she feel upset or anything? Like, it just feels a bit too casual for me. Like, because if it was me, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could even like sit with Drew and have that conversation, knowing that these are the people who are responsible, like, for that. You know, like, it just seems a bit casual. But that's just me. I admit that I'm nitpicking with that. But yeah, it's just little things like that. But I understand that we're at episode 9, so there isn't a whole lot of time to you know, to keep having the bickering and the drama and all that, because now it's really setting up the ending at this point. So I get that part, but yeah, it's just little things that just made me like, but yeah, it was an entertaining episode, and I think, you know, the death of Monet it's a big deal. This is going to be a moment that we remember for a long time. So yeah, those are my takeaways from the episode. I'm very curious to see what you two will have to say now. And with that being said, Dana, when you're ready, please do hit us with your takeaways.
Can anyone hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. That's so weird. I can't hear any of you guys. Okay. So this was I'm speechless because I'm so happy. But I'm also disappointed because this should have been like episode 7, maybe 8 at most, because there's so much more to the story that could have been told. And we had to slog through so many episodes that really didn't seem to go anywhere for me. But for this, oh, this was lovely. This was wonderful. This was beautiful. This was everything that I wanted. That's all I asked for. Give me the crazy, give me the dramatic, give me the overacting, give me the plot twist and the double crossings, and I'm happy. So yeah, we have to start off. There was a lot of things that happened, but I want to talk about Effie for a second. Effie really wanted to get out of the game. And she played, you know, she did everything that Noma told her to do, and she has her number, but she wants to have her future. And she reiterated, I need to get out. Look, I'm going to California. I'm getting out. And in a way, you know, the whole King relationship with her is, you know, that they genuinely care about each other. You know that they genuinely love each other. But in a way, it kind of felt like, I understand Kane's position where he is not Noma, so he can't make those big changes. And he was saying, you know, I'll talk to her, but you're in the game, you're in this for life. In a way that kind of felt a little throwaway. Like, I just really wanted him to be a bit more, I'll stand up for you. But and then it was like more, you're in the game, we'll see, kind of thing. And so that aggravated me. And I really wish that he would have kind of made her that priority when he was talking to her just a little bit more, even if it was still a no. But this was the moment, this when she went into the bathroom and you saw that overwhelmness of her just wanting to get out and realizing that she's probably not going to, I immediately thought, is she going to commit suicide? Because this seems to be her only way out, as either death or suicide, which is still death. So either being killed or killing herself. And that's when I really thought in that bathroom, she was going to take her life. So I don't know what's going to happen, but as you guys both alluded to, she does have a tragic ending that she stated. We don't know whether or not to believe that. You know, a lot of actors will say, I'm not in this movie, and they actually are in the movie. I don't trust actors. But if that is to be true, that is kind of what I think is going to happen to her, and that makes me extremely sad because she was the one who had the biggest and the brightest future, who could go away. But at the same time, we've seen many people with the best and biggest and brightest futures who get sucked up into this game, and that's just it. Their life is forever ruined. We saw that, for example, with Snowfall, with the main character, and how he ended up, with this great promise, all this great opportunity. He's really smart. He can be the main guy. He was the main guy, and then at the end, he became like this sad alcoholic that was just depressing. You just look at him, and you're like, oh no. So I I wonder what that ending for Effie is going to be. Here's the thing. When it came to the children, I love that conversation, and I understand that kids fight with each other all the time. Siblings fight with each other all the time, and then they come back as a family. It's like only I can hate you, only I can beat you up, only I can fight you. Anybody else, I'm gonna kill them. And I really got that friendship and that love and that sibling bond, even though they have been at war and literally tried to kill each other for the entire season. And I was happy that we were able to see that side. That gave me such warm, fuzzy feelings. And I really like how they were able to be honest with each other. And you talked about this previously, Gary, when you were like, Diana, I think it's really interesting. Diana has a lack of control, she feels like. She is extremely lost. When she is in school, she's thinking about the streets. When she's in the streets, she's thinking about school. And that's really interesting because her entire motto was, I'm not in this anymore. And now that she's in it, she can't seem to get out of it. So that is going to be an interesting dynamic. And it made me wonder, will she be the next Monet? Because that was what Monet was doing, essentially, oh, I'm only doing this because I need this and this and X amount, but I'm going to get out. And my babies, we're going to get out. But then you've seen at the time, it just overcame her and she was purely about the streets. So I wonder what's going to happen with Diana in that sense. And then now with the death of Monet, we saw that she killed the police officer, and we saw how she was forever changed by that. Now with Monet being dead and her going after Carter and Noma, how is that going to fully change her? I wonder. So I really like what would happen with her. I understand the angerment that Gary has with, Detective Carter makes me feel like a man, and I feel needed and loved. And it's like, yeah, but that was the team that killed your sister. I get it. I understand it. But technically, if we're being really technical, that was Felicia's decision. Carter did not say, go recruit Diana. And if she doesn't do it, stomp her to death. That was Felicia's doing. So in a way, I'm okay with that conversation because that wasn't Carter's doing. Felicia went rogue. And in fact, it was Carter that reprimanded her for doing that. So for me, that conversation didn't bother me. But at this same time with this conversation of him saying, I felt like a man and I feel like I was needed. This goes all the way back to Lorenzo. Lorenzo picking Drew over Kane, which set both of the brothers off and created this competition. Lorenzo saw Drew as the man that he is today. It was just that Lorenzo wasn't the man to be able to pull that out of Drew. It was Carter. So in a way, Lorenzo's redeemed. Lorenzo was right the whole time. And we previously had a comment, and a commenter said, Drew and Kane switched places. And they did. It was Kane who's now moping around, well, before the mama's death, moping around, oh, she needs me. I'm going to hang with her. Yeah, Ma. And that's what Drew was doing with that guy whose name I can't remember, who got shot in the shower later on after he betrayed him. And remember that whole breakup thing and the restaurant thing and all of that over dramatics. That's kind of what Kane is doing with Noma. And so that switch, that whole, if you look at it, right now, Drew is the apex predator because of his actions. So this was interesting because I'm sitting here and I was like, he finally was able to embrace that side of himself. But it was just sad that Lorenzo wasn't the man to do it. But he did see that in him. So I do like that for them. I like that. And then lastly, with that whole, with the Kane situation, um, that was interesting with Kane, because it was weird. It was foreshadowed. I thought Kane was the one that was gonna die. I knew that Monet was gonna die when she started going on apology tours. And we all know when you start doing that, I'm sorry, I apologize. And this was the mother that they wanted from after she got shot. This is what I thought she would do after she was almost murdered, almost killed, I meant, and almost died. And she saw the ghost of Lorenzo and Zeke. And this is how I thought it was, I'm sorry. And she genuinely means it. This was fascinating. I forgot who I was on. I talked about Drew. I talked about Kane. Oh, I was talking about Kane. Going also what Gary said about Kane being abused and that she was the only one that saved him. I wish we could have gotten that conversation a bit earlier. That would have been really nice information to know. Especially when we had that argument between Drew and Kane. Remember when they pulled the guns on each other and it was like, oh, somebody's getting shot. That would have been a really nice piece of information to know. But instead, that information was delivered to Noma. And in a way, I don't feel that she deserved it. But I understand why bringing that out because it was like, look, she's not just my mother. She's my protector. She's my strength. She's my everything. And you're asking me to turn my back on a woman who technically never turned her back on me. She may have turned her back on Diana and Kane, but not on Diana and sorry, the other one, the yellow one. Sorry, Drew. But not me. And that alone shows you why Noma could never replace Kane. I'm not Kane. Noma could never replace Monet because Monet just sees him as not necessarily as an object, really. This is something that I need because I need my citizenship. There is no love there. There is no connection there. But even if you was to say that, for example, Noma was not Noma. There's too many M's and N's. Monet is not King's mother. They still have that connection of you protected me. So I'm gonna always ride for you. So I really like that they had that conversation, even though I wished it was earlier. And then that whole thing of this is what made it so sad. She protected him all his life. And he couldn't do that for her. And she was literally feet away, several feet away. And she couldn't do that. He was tied up and she's getting off. And I love the way how they did that, by the way. That was amazing. That was so dramatic. I'll get to her in a second. But she couldn't do that for him. And you saw how that broke him. It wasn't just, oh, this is my mother you killed. He couldn't protect the woman that protected him. And I absolutely loved that dynamic in it. And it's added to the heartbreak. And it wasn't until the other siblings came where he was kind of finally free and that he reached her. It's like, Mom, and there was so much passion. And she kept saying, my babies, my babies. Oh, that whole thing, I watched it like 20,000 times because it was so beautiful and poetic and slightly over the top. And it was good drama. It was so delicious and so good. And with Monet and her death, she finally thought beyond her own needs. She finally understood. To me, this felt like her stepping into being a mother. And that's what I really loved about this. She was willing to die in the sacrifice for her babies, and she didn't care anymore. And if you look at it, this is where I slightly get frustrated when it goes back to the OG power. This is how I feel Ghost should have died. Yeah, you can make it really poetic that, oh my God, it was the son that killed the father, Shakespeare. Yay. But you could have made that scene a bit way more dramatic and him trying to protect Tariq and then Tariq do the betrayal and not like, oh, I want you to go to jail. No, Dad, I'm not going to. Bang, bang. You could have just made this. I felt that is how it could have went where Ghost died protecting Tariq, and Tariq then finally understood that his father always loved him, that his father always cared. Because in a way, Tariq was kind of looking for that love. I felt that he was looking for someone to love him the way that he wanted to be loved, and not necessarily accepting the fact that people loved him. Period. It was, well, if you don't love me the way how I want to be loved, then you don't really love me. And that I felt is how he treated Ghost. And by him dying the way that Monet could have or did would have shook him differently. And you can still be, I want to be an apex predator, but it could have had more meaning to his actions and more meaning to everything. And kind of going off what Gary said again, not to be a copycat, there was no predator in this apex for me. I'm still waiting for you to be the apex predator. And we do have that one episode left. We have the finale. So then does that mean that you're an apex predator? Because you're one time that you stepped into your big boy shoes? I'm confused. I'm slightly still frustrated. Again, I appreciate the show, and I'm not knocking the show. I'm just slightly frustrated. I want to see the predator in the apex, and that is just it just makes me upset. And he had this whole speech of, I'm tired of them standing against me. Betrayal can be painful, and Davis is like, you got to calm down. He's like, I betrayed myself. Because you believed people? Because you were gullible? How exactly did you betray yourself? Your big hoorah speech, I feel it, I appreciate it. I just kind of felt that it wasn't misplaced. I just kind of felt that I needed that maybe earlier and not the finale. And I understand that we have in this finale, this episode, so that the finale can be big and bold. I just really would just wanted in general more from the season. And it's still, I appreciate everything that happened. I am not knocking anything with this episode. I loved it, and we'll talk more about it. And I think that was my 3, maybe 20. But I really love this, and it was over the top and dramatic, and I laughed and I cried, and it was full of everything that I needed. It was a soap opera drama. It was a hip opera. I love the song choices. The Tupac, "Come With Me, Hail Mary," "Run Quick See." What do we have here now? "You Want to Ride or Die?" "Die, die, 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 die," which just plays so perfectly because she finally was a ride or die for her family. She died for her family, but she rode there until she died. So yeah.
Yeah, and you even got a dinner scene in this, like a juicy dinner scene where all the dirt was flying.
I didn't know if I was gonna. Okay, can I just say just like 2 other things? I know we were like, but you said be loose, so I'm loosing right now. Okay, there were 2 other things that just. Noma's brother, what's his name? Chindu?
Tether. That's his name.
Okay, so the brother. First of all, forget Noma. I want to spin off with the brother. Gary, are you African? Forgive me.
No, my family's Jamaican.
Jamaican. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I thought, okay, this was the best Nigerian I have ever. I need this man to have a spinoff between the sucking of the teeth and then with the money, that scene at the party with the this man brought personality, he brought the dynamics, he brought that inner monologue where he was like, I cannot stand anything. Like you could tell he couldn't even stand Noma. You could tell he hates Americans. You could tell he hated every single person in that room. I need him to be in the spinoff. I needed him to basically be Noma. Why didn't we have him instead of Noma? This man, he came in and changed the whole tone of the show. It was like, ooh, what is this? Ooh, I loved it. And I was wrong. I was previously like, oh, it's going to be Idris Elba because we know that Idris Elba is working with 50 on some kind of project. And I was like, they going to surprise us like that? I don't know. But this man, I'm sorry. This was perfection. I loved every moment. I need to know what is his home life. I need to be in the family. I need who is his mama? I need to know his mama and his daddy. This was also I love the fact that this entire family has different accents. Everyone has a different accent. He came in with African. Noma's British. The daughter's American. Just give it all. I love everything about this. And then the last thing I just really wanted to quickly say, I forgot. Oh, my dinner scene. I got my dinner scene, and that was the most dramatic dinner scene. I loved every moment. I loved it. Give me more dinner. And we can't have any more because it's only one more episode, and then the show is gone. Why wasn't this like episode 6? I'm so frustrated. But props to the brother. Okay, I talked enough.
All right, I think Gary stepped away for a second to make a call. So, outstanding takeaways from both Gary and Dana, as always. I'm going to get into mine. I don't know if I'm going to be quite as good as they were because they made some very good points, and I agree with a lot of points that they made. So, first and foremost, let me say I thought this was a great episode of Ghost. Obviously, shout outs to Mary J. Blige. She did an outstanding job. And I think I give credit to Dana because she did post an interview that Mary had did where she said playing this role helped her get over her divorce. So you got to definitely give her credit for that. She did a great job playing Monet Tejada. So yeah, we're going to honor her. My takeaway started with the Tejada family, so I'm just going to continue. Y'all mentioned the family dinner scene. I thought that was entertaining. We know that Power loves these family dinners where there's a lot of drama and stuff and a lot of different types of conversations happening. So I thought that was good for them to add that to this episode. To go to Gary's point earlier when he talked about, they definitely foreshadowed that Monet was going to get taken out because of the conversation she had in this episode with Kane, the very heartfelt conversation. And then Kane mentioned, you've never said anything like that to me before. So I kind of figured it was probably going to be her that got taken out. Now, let me make this comment, okay? I understand that there are a lot of people, because of what happened with Monet in this episode, how she got taken out, the nature of it, and then Kane was right there seeing his mom get taken out. I understand why you would definitely feel sympathy for the character. But I do want to say this. This entire season, they showed us flashbacks of Monet, when she had them as babies. And we have to remember the fact that she is the one that got them involved in this game in the first place. So for that reason, I think the writing is excellent because it's poetic that you would get taken out by the same game in which you got your kids involved in. It is unfortunate, however, that Kane had to witness that because I kind of feel like it's going to definitely mess with his head going into the finale. And then to go to Gary's point of what he said about both Diana and Drew, the fact that Drew was probably going to go back and forth with Kane, they did show that in the trailer where they were blaming Kane, where Drew had a comment. You said Monet is dead because of you. And then also Kane is angry because Diana and Drew had this plan. They didn't involve him in any of this. They didn't communicate any of this stuff. So there is going to be some tension in that next episode from the standpoint of the family and how they operate together. But here is one thing I do want to say. Okay, like I said, this was a great episode. In my opinion, this entire season, this entire show, it has been great. But this entire show has been about the Tejada family. Tariq St. Patrick has a relationship to these characters. He's connected to them, okay? But he definitely is a side character, and especially this season, he is a side character. I'll get into Tariq a little bit later. But clearly, it was about the Tejadas from the minute that this show started, because I know that Michael Rainey Jr. has had interviews in the past where even he was surprised that they would have a spinoff show about his character because they hated the character so much. But the thing is that they have this character, but then they have other characters that are also equally interesting or more interesting than Tariq, such as David, such as Monet, such as her entire family. So I understand what the goal was when they decided to make this show, because absolutely it was interesting to hear that Mary J and Method Man were going to be a part of the show. So I get that, but I just want to make it clear. While the episode is great, we have to acknowledge this is about the Tejada family. This entire story is really about them. Tariq has a role as well, but he still feels like a side character in pretty much all aspects of this entire season, especially this season. But I'll get into him a little bit later. I have a few more things I want to say about the Tejadas. I do like the fact that they did introduce some other characters. You know, Gary made mention of Little Dirk, who basically is Kane's cousin. So I personally feel if there is going to be a spinoff, it will focus on the kids, obviously, because it feels like there's a lot more story to be told. You guys made comments about Diana basically telling Drew that she felt lost, and that's a storyline they can go with because obviously she doesn't really want to do the schoolwork. She's there at school, but is unable to do the work because she's thinking about the streets. And then vice versa, when she's in the streets, she's thinking about wanting to do something different with her life. So there's a story right there to explore with Diana beyond this season. As for Drew, he made a comment to Diana that he has a curator opportunity in Paris. So that tells me that the writers, they really, if they are going to have a spinoff, which I'm pretty sure there's going to be another spinoff, it should focus on the Tejada kids and how they handle life after everything that happened with Monet. But we have to see where they're going to go in the finale with that. I obviously feel like this finale episode is about taking out Noma and her brother, unfortunately. I know Dana says she wants to see the brother get a spinoff. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. But yes, this next episode, the finale, is about taking out Noma. You know, and I'm fine with that because Noma has to get taken out. That's long overdue to happen. But one point I do want to mention before I go to my second takeaway. In the trailer, Tariq made a comment to Diana when he asked Dee, why did you do that? I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think that Diana is going to kill Anya because she is going to want to get some revenge for what happened to her mom. And I feel like you saw in the trailer that Tariq was running with Anya. He was holding her hand, running away. But I would not be surprised if Diana does make that decision and just decides to kill her because, yes, that is Noma's, that is her daughter. She wants her to feel some pain as well. So I can see that happening. But we have to wait and see if that's the path that they're going to take. All I know is from a viewer standpoint, after watching this episode, obviously I want to see Noma get taken out in the next episode. And I do want to mention that I am a bit disappointed that we had our theory that Kane could have been playing Noma. I'm a bit disappointed that he wasn't, that he was going to go through with this wedding and eventually he was going to try to take his power from there. I wanted to see him turn on Noma. So that's unfortunate that happened. But from the storytelling standpoint, the whole thing of having Monet be the one to get taken out by Noma, it makes sense. 100% makes sense. Because this entire season, they tried to have these characters avoid each other. And when they did come together, there was always some conflict. So it made sense for Monet to get taken out this way. And now the kids will feel as though they need to avenge their mother. So I'm totally fine with that. So let's see what happens in the finale. But yes, a great season for the Tejada family. This is about their story, okay? Now, let me get to Tariq St. Patrick, or as I say, Tariq St. Watrick. All right. Michael Rainey Jr. is an excellent actor, as Gary has already said. Okay. He did an excellent job throughout the entirety of this show. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I agree 1000% with Gary. I think that Michael Rainey Jr. needs to leave this show. After this episode, I just feel like, listen, he's a great thinker. They told us that multiple times. Even the whole plan of working with Monet to try to figure out a plan to take out Carter and Noma. He's great at thinking about a plan. But when it comes to the execution, it's always a bit sloppy. When it comes to a physical confrontation, he will lose that confrontation almost every time unless he has some assistance. So that's fine. Everyone has a strong suit. Combat, not necessarily his strong suit, but he can think about a good plan and try to execute it to the best of his ability. But in this episode, to go to what Gary's point is, when they had this whole plan to take out Carter, I agree. Ghost would have just shot. He would have shot. You don't have some type of monologue with Carter like, oh, I got you now. No, just take the guy out. You understand that there is trouble in what you're doing here in the entire situation. And then, of course, it made sense for him to be surprised about the fact that Carter had the tape footage. That all made sense. So I don't have an issue with that. But I do want to say, when they had that scene of Tariq having his tantrum with Davis, I laughed very hard at that scene because I'm like, bro, I understand you're angry, but the acting made me laugh in that scene because it's like Tariq is just a brat. You know, this is a guy that Ghost had every intention of taking care of his family, right? And he already told Tariq that he would regret taking him out the way that he did. And what we saw throughout this entire show is Tariq, he always has had flashes of his father. He's always done different things, make you feel like, yes, there's something that Ghost would do. Yes. But now when you're at the critical moment where you have to take out this cop, you can't pull the trigger. Obviously, you're very concerned. And I understand it because, again, he was hesitant to follow through with taking out Carter in his task force when he found out about Diana. And Tosh was telling him not to do something that he would regret. But now you're in a situation where you have brought Braden and Effie into this. So I kind of feel like you have to make a decision. And I am very curious to see what's going to happen in the next episode because like you said, they have Carter at gunpoint. They have to make a decision. And this is why I'm kind of glad the whole thing with Monet is that's to the side now. Now you have to focus on how is Tariq going to handle this situation with his colleagues. Shout out to Braden for crashing out once he found out that something happened with Tariq when Tariq couldn't pull off the plan and then literally crashing his car into a Carter's car. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. But, you know, Tariq did warn him, don't take anything. And then, you know, he still didn't listen to Tariq. He took something. So very interesting. And then, of course, Dana made the point earlier about Effie and the fact that she had a conversation with Kane earlier in this episode. And Kane said that he couldn't promise that he was going to be able to get her out either. So definitely feels like it's a dead end for Effie. And now that she's involved in this situation where she is there, in this situation with Tariq, and you have a police officer, a corrupt officer, but still a police officer that you have to take out. I think we can definitely conclude the story will not end well for most of these characters. Probably definitely not Effie. She ain't getting out of this. And that's unfortunate because she did get that acceptance letter in this episode that she got into the college that she was trying to get into. So yeah, her story is not going to end well. But overall, this is what I will say. Tariq St. Patrick as a character, I don't really know what they can do in this finale. I don't believe that this guy is the apex predator. I don't believe that he's going to be an apex predator. Although I will say this: you both made a comment about hopefully there is an apex predator that shows up in the next episode. I hope so too, because that person is the apex predator. And the last thing I want to mention is I've seen a lot of people it's online talking about. Were there any clues that were dropped in this episode about something? And then I thought to myself, they alluded to the scene where Monet and Tariq, they had the whole run-in with the Russians, and that was the plan that was set up. And then they said, let's act like we're dead. So kind of makes you wonder. Very interesting, right? Somebody acting like they're dead. We saw Tommy do that already in the Power universe. So I'm not saying anything because I don't know anything, but I'm just saying I do want to see what they have planned for the finale, because Starz is on record saying the fans will be very happy with this finale. It'll be outstanding. Okay, I want to see if they follow through on that, because I can't think of but one thing that would make the fans happy, and you all know what that is. So I'm not going to repeat it again. But overall, great episode. Shout out to Mary J. Blige. She did a fantastic job. And I look forward to seeing where they go from here, and also when they announce what the next spinoff is, because there definitely is going to be another spinoff show. No doubt about it.
Yeah, great takeaways from both of you. Excellent. And Richard, just quickly, like when Tariq was having his tantrum, did that remind you of anyone? Because to me, I was thinking of Franklin Saint a little bit, like he was trying to have a moment. like Franklin Saint.
Although I will say this, if you make that comparison, I gotta give it to Damson. I've got to give it to Damson Idris. That guy, he was outstanding as that character, even when he was emotional. Very, very good at that. Michael Rainey Jr. did an okay job, but it was a little funny, you know, when he's pushing stuff over. I was laughing. I had to laugh there. I was supposed to be a serious moment, but I laughed because I'm like, this guy, he thinks that he's the guy. He's the one. He's not. He's not an apex predator. But it is funny to see him try to think that he is. Go ahead, Dana.
Here's the thing. I have a question about this, and I don't know if I should wait till now or until later. But
no, do it now.
Say it now. Okay, I will say it right now. Are we asking too much from Tariq? Because at the end of the day, and I had this conversation with the actor who plays Brayden, they're teenagers, at least.
They're in their 20s now, aren't they?
Yeah, but 20, but mentally teenagers. They're like, what, 21? No one's above 24, I don't think so. Not even Kane. Maybe Zeke was, but not Kane.
Definitely early 20s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Michael Rainey Jr.
Over 20.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right. They are pretty much in their 20s. I know Michael Rainey Jr. just turned 24. He celebrated his birthday recently. But no, continue.
Yeah, but the character is not 24.
No, the character isn't 24. Yeah.
If we're talking about in-person character, he's I don't even know what year he is in school. Are we still in freshman? Oh no, this is what junior. So say for example he's a senior. So if he is a senior, because we do know that school still exists because they were in it, he is. What is it? What age is his dog graduate? Because I was 20.
Yeah, I don't know the American school system like that, so.
We never saw him. I mean, I don't know what grade he's in, because it's kind of like they've had classes, so it's kind of like you don't really know how much time has passed and stuff like that. But continue.
At most 22. At most 22.
Yeah.
You figure 18, you graduate high school. You go right in 19, 20, 21, 22. At most 22. Let's just say a solid 22. At 22 years old, are you acting like a 50-year-old? Are you behaving like a 50-year-old? Do you have the mental capacity to understand reaction and causation that a 50-year-old has? No, I don't think so. And if you look at it really, Tariq was never in the game. Tariq wanted to be in the game. He played the game, but he was never in the game. So technically, and I myself included as well, I kind of feel, I'll put it all on me, I'm being too harsh on Tariq. Oh, you're not being an apex predator. You're not being this. What is a 22-year-old apex predator who has been playing? I wanted to be a gangster since he was a kid, but never really a gangster. But I shot my dad, so I'm a gangster. Well, when it comes to actually doing gangster stuff, where Carter is running operations and Monet is dealing with international duties. So then I have a question. Are we at fault, or are the writers at fault for putting him in situations with adults that have decades of experience? And he's expected to take out decades of experience. at the age of 22, where he was just an eyewitness to certain things and got beaten in the head with a bag of oranges. That's just what I wonder. I don't even think there's an answer to that.
I have an answer to it, but let's go to Gary first. Look, Gary is about to say something.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, Dana. It is a good conversation to raise, and for me personally, I feel like it's more about how the character is sold to us and how he's presented. I think because I wouldn't have a problem with Tariq just being like a thinker who doesn't get his hands dirty. Like, maybe that's his strength. Maybe just playing to his strength and what he's good at, and what's believable from him, and just have him be the person that they come to figure things out, like figure out what's the next move, what should we do in this situation. He would be a great kind of Professor X or something to the Tejada family, like just that person that they come to be like, to tell all the problems, and be like, look, this is what we need to do right here. Because he does that a lot, and he's great at doing that. Like the scene where there was like Ocean's 11 trying to figure out how they're gonna do the hit and everything. Like him, Davis, Monet, Drew, and Diana. Like that scene was great because that's Tariq. That feels like Tariq to me, like where he's thinking through the problem. But it's just all these other things he does on the streets. That's where it kind of falls short to me. And it's like it's not like, okay, I get it. He's not his dad. He's not his father. He's not Tommy. He hasn't had like 20, 30 years experience in the streets like these other people have. He's still very young. I get that part. But it's just how he talks and how the character is sold to us. Like the season was kind of set up as him being the apex predator, and he's gonna go on a warpath, and he's not playing around. Basically, that's how it kind of was like sold to us. So it's like he's kind of falling short of that image a little bit. And especially with all the comparisons to his father as well, because they play into that a lot with some of these scenes. The fact that he, is his father now and all this stuff, they play into that narrative quite a lot. So I think that's really what it kind of steers us into being hard on him, when perhaps we shouldn't be all the time, because, he is still learning, he is still developing. But I would like them to show us more of that development of him becoming that person, like him learning how to get the better of, his opponent in these situations, like, how to not let somebody snatch your gun and all that. Like if there was, that's why I say like it would be good if the next spin-off is basically Tommy and Tariq, because having that person there with the experience to kind of like help Tariq develop into the next iteration, I think that would be great to see, because then we would see that development, and we would really see Tariq develop that other side of him, that other part of him, the practical side, because the theory is all there. Like he's got all the knowledge, all the intellect and all that stuff. Like that's not even a question, but it's just that part of him. It's just the way it's sold to us. He isn't kind of meeting the mark, in my opinion. But Richard, what was you going to say?
First and foremost, that was an excellent question, Dana, and that was also a great response, Gary. I will say yes. We as fans are definitely too harsh on Tariq, myself included. When you do make the comparison of the experience that Ghost and Tommy has had, which is a lot longer than him. But once again, to go to Gary's point, it is about how they market the character and how they present the character. The marketing for season 1, the poster said like father, like son. And when I go back to the finals episodes of the original Power season, and when anytime that Tariq had an argument with Ghost, he was saying that he was better than him. Okay, so if he's better than Ghost, no doubt about it. They showed us that he is a great thinker. He's able to devise the plan. But when it comes out to the execution of the plan, something doesn't always go quite right. And I'm fine with that. But again, I do agree that when you know that the season or the series is coming to an end, and you still have this character who still has so much potential to grow, you definitely are questioning what happens beyond the next episode. So I am curious to see if Michael Rady Jr. is going to take a break from this show and do some other stuff, or if he is going to be in another show or making a cameo or some type of, I don't know what they're going to do. But what I will say is, yes, we have high expectations because we know who Ghost was as a character, all the stuff that Ghost did. And obviously this guy is his son. And they have told us multiple times, this is a junior. This is Ghost's son. So obviously you're going to have some type of expectations similar to how you would have for somebody who is a prominent figure, well-known, say they have a child. You're going to wonder if that child is in the same line of business, if that child is also going to be as skillful as their parent was or better. That happens in all types of areas. But I would say we'll see. But once again, Michael Rady Jr. has done an excellent job as an actor. It has been truly great to see him grow from a little kid to now a young man. So I'm curious to see whatever he does next. I want to see whatever it is, but we'll see what that is because I have no idea what it's going to be. Go ahead.
It felt a lot like Mephisto in terms of, remember? And then this is what I was wondering: is this like both the writers and the viewers, shared problem? Because with Mephisto, for example, it's Mephisto, and then we keep being teased with Mephisto, but they never say Mephisto. So that's just kind of where I was like, are we too harsh on Tariq, or is it they wrote it like that? So therefore, it's not wrong for us to be harsh. But then I have one more question because I will end up forgetting. Going back to Force, the one with Tommy. Remember when they stated that season 3 is going to be renewed? But didn't he say that we're no longer in Chicago? We're going to California?
From what I understand, he says season 3 is the last season in Chicago. And then after that is, whatever happens after that is going to be somewhere else. So they're still in Chicago.
Give a state. But so say if there's a season 4 reboot of the Tommy show, that's how they get by not paying actors. If there's a reboot of the Tommy show, they never stated what is the new state. They just said the adventure of Tommy will continue. Okay. Because my brain, for some reason, thought California, and then I was like, Effie wants to go to California. Is he a crossover? What's going on?
No,
but I was wrong.
When Tommy originally went to Chicago, he was actually going to California, but he stopped in Chicago and never left, basically.
I thought he was going to Miami.
I think he was going to LA.
Yeah, he was going to LA because they were playing. I remember they were playing that LA song. I forget what song it was. It was one of those hip hop groups.
California. Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it was that song. I forgot. That happened a while ago. That was on the finale of Ghosts of Minnesota, the original Power show. Yeah.
Never mind then. Continue, Gary.
Yeah, no, great points though. I do like, as far as Tommy, I would not be surprised if now you know what I want to happen next week. I want what everybody else wants to happen next week, but I just don't feel like it is going to happen. I don't think Omari's coming back at this point. But
I thought you were talking about Tommy the whole time. Y'all wanted Ghost?
Well, I'm going to get to that. Like Tommy, I do think Tommy is coming back. I think Tommy could be the one that comes back next week. And because if you think about it, Force is going to be the next modern day Power series. Obviously, we're getting Raising Kanan next, but Force is set in the modern Power timeline, and that is the next season, in the modern timeline. So I think what they'll do is Tommy will come back, and I do think that whatever spin-off they do next, because remember, both Ghost and Force are ending, so I think whatever spin-off they do next, I think it's going to consist of either Tommy and Tariq, or maybe if Tariq does die, I'm not sure if that's going to happen. But if let's say in the event that Tariq does die, I think it's going to be Tommy and Kane maybe running things, and Kane will be like, you know, the lead alongside Tommy or whatever. But I think that's what's going to happen. I think Tommy's coming back, and then I think that's going to kind of convince everyone to watch Force, because we want to find out what happens and why he ends up going back to New York. So that's what I think the surprise is going to be for the next episode, just because at this point, the ghost coming back thing is starting to feel a bit far-fetched. It's starting, I don't know if I don't know if we're going to see it happen, unfortunately. I think they're set on Ghost being dead. I think that's how Stars wants it. I think they want the character dead. So, yeah, what was you going to say, Richard?
I agree that, yes, I do believe they said they want the character dead. I just want to make a comment, though, because we spoke about this briefly. The way they shoot some of these episodes, it makes you believe that there is somebody else watching certain things happen in the show. And because I've seen a lot of theories about this stuff, and I'm not saying that I'm copying a theory.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, I'm not saying I'm copying a theory. I'm just saying it feels that way. Now, you go to the previous episode when Drew and Kane were going back and forth, and then Drew went to Kane's office and was getting the information to find out about Noma's shipment. They had a shot of the door cracked halfway from the viewpoint as if somebody is looking at Drew inside the office, taking stuff out of the desk. So that makes you wonder, why are they shooting stuff a certain way? Obviously, that is, I guess, for you to feel, I guess, as a viewer, or is somebody actually there? And that type of stuff, it feels kind of a certain type of way. But again, I'm not saying anything. But what I am going to say, like I mentioned earlier, there could be clues that they are leaving in these episodes, like the whole thing about Monet and Tariq saying, well, they think we're dead, let's pretend like we're dead. I don't know if that was in there for a reason or if that was just some intentional thing. Because again, I do believe the writers are smart. When they know people are going to be talking about certain stuff online. So I kind of feel some of this stuff is put in there for a reason. But again, I'm not going to say we're going to see Omari return, because clearly that Omari has some other projects that he is pursuing. Do I believe you can see a cameo of him? Yes. I don't think you would see him come back to this show full time, but I don't know, because this guy has some things that he's signed on to recently. So I don't know. But what I am saying is that when you make the comment and said, fans are going to be very excited to see how this show ends. Now I want to see why they said that, because there's a reason they said that. And no, I think killing Noma, that can't be the only reason. We saw what happened to Monet in this episode. That's fine. But there has to be a reason why they are heavily saying this next episode is like, oh, this changes things, so on and so forth. So I do want to see what they mean with that. But clearly, I don't think that Tariq's story is over. Tommy's story definitely isn't over. So yeah, you could see a reunion of those two, perhaps. But I just don't know I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know something big is probably going to happen in that finale. So we have to wait to find out what that is until next week.
Y'all are going too much in the hype, drinking the juice. Y'all drinking that Kool-Aid. I don't believe it. I believe that every marketing was going to be like, oh, an explosive season finale. You don't want to miss this. Oh my God. The fans will be on the floor. Babies will be crying. Mothers will be screaming. I don't believe that. I believe that's just good marketing. I mean, you're asking for a lot. And here's the thing: all I just want is a 2-hour episode. Just give me a 2-hour finale, because this is the series finale, and I'll be happy. But y'all talking about resurrecting ghosts and Tommy's coming back, and next thing we know, is Kane even dead? Maybe Kane is not dead. Not Kane. Kanan.
Oh no, Kanan is dead. We saw the body. He's dead.
But who's the dead? Kanan could have had like an identical twin brother that nobody knew about, and they switched places. I'm sorry. Every time y'all bring up ghosts, that's what y'all sound like. Y'all sound like there was an identical body and they switched the places, and that's not really him. That's just the double. And we're really on Earth 22 instead of Earth 616. I don't believe that. I think that Ghost is dead.
If you want to
I
go down that
People say
rabbit hole,
that.
though, oh, go ahead, Rich.
I would say I'm totally fine if he's dead, but I just want to make a comment and say we're definitely not the only ones thinking about this stuff. And I would give a shout out to Tracy Lee. I saw comments that she has been leaving about this stuff. So hey, we'll see what happens. But it's fun to think about it. But obviously, the chances of it happening probably not going to happen. But I do want to see how this show ends from the standpoint to see what are they going to show us to get us interested in whatever's next. Because there has to be something.
Well, then, if we're doing conspiracy theories, I'm going to just throw it out there. The person who was actually at the door, who was looking at everything, is Raina. Thank you.
There you go.
Good night.
The ghost of Raina. There you go.
There you go. Problem solved. It's Raina.
Problem solved. Is Raina.
But I do want to say though, like, for all of these stories to be wrapped up in 55 minutes or however long this next episode is about to be, I don't think they're gonna neatly wrap up everything in that time. So I think we might be in for a cliffhanger of some sorts. Like I think we're gonna get some sort of cliffhanger, and maybe immediately after the show ends, we get the announcement of whatever the new show is gonna be. I think something like that is gonna happen, because I just don't see it wrapping up smoothly, like, in one episode, because there's so much that's been set up now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. But so one question I had for you is,
then that was the thing. Backdoor pilot. Noma's brother, backdoor pilot. That is that episode. So I win. I'm getting my spin off with him.
Yeah, spin off with Noma's brother. That would be interesting. But yeah, the question I had for you is, do you think that Tariq should be blamed for what happened to Monet in any way? Because I see a lot of dialogue about that online. It does seem like, the brothers are going to blame each other. Kane and Drew are going to be, playing the blame game a little bit next week. But I want to ask you guys as well, like, do you think Tariq is to blame for that? Because he is the one that allowed, what's his name, Carter, to call Noma and warn her and, prepare for Monet to come and everything like that. So do you think Tariq should at all be blamed? Basically, let me know your thoughts on that. So go ahead, Dana.
I don't like the word allowed. You're allowing? Is Tariq her daddy? Is she the child? I allow you to go? We had this whole discussion. He has no power here. Literally no power. It's a show called Power and he has no power. Where's the power? So no, he didn't allow. There is no allowing. Monet is a grown woman capable of doing her own thing. And as she stated before, they got my babies. You're not gonna take me from my babies. You're not gonna keep me from my babies. Why can't we just be like, hey, she was okay with dying this whole episode. She made amends. She went on the apology tour. She never trusted Noma to begin with. Then when she discovered that Noma set everybody up, including herself, she still went on and said, my bikers. So no, it wasn't Tariq's fault. And no one allowed her to do anything. Maybe Black Jesus allowed her to live, but no allowing. And even then she didn't live anymore. So no, she knew what she was doing. She went in there literally guns blazing. This was a whole parallel to how Kanan died when he was like to the police. He knew what they was doing. She wanted to protect, and she said, my babies, my babies. Her whole goal was to go in there to protect her babies from the beginning to the end. So no, She died protecting her babies. She wanted to die protecting her babies. She knew she would die protecting her babies. Multiple people said, don't go down there. And she said, my babies. So no, we're not going to blame the 2-year-old for a grown woman's death.
Okay, yeah, that's a interesting take on it. How about you, Richard? Do you think Tariq is at all to blame for the events that happened at the wedding?
I think when it comes to the execution of the plan, Tariq is at fault in regards to not pulling off his part of the plan. I do agree with Dana's point. Monet had a very clear, it made it very clear. She made the decision to, when you saw the people shooting, let me throw myself out here and just start shooting guns blazing. So she made that decision definitely to go out there and risk getting shot. But I do want to make this comment. Kane is obviously, and we saw this in the trailer, he obviously is mad because Diana and Drew had this plan and he was not a part of the plan. I would like to know what Kane will think if he finds out that Tariq also knew they were planning to get rid of Noma and Carter. Because, again, that's somebody who I kind of feel like he would be angry at Tariq about that. But I just don't know yet if they're going to go in that direction, because clearly right now the Tejada's goal is to take out Noma. Tariq still has to deal with Carter, so that's not done with either. But after that, I will be curious to see what happens. But no, I would say when it came to taking those shots, Monet 100% said, I will do whatever I can for my babies. I'm going to jump out and just, and they made it very clear when they shot it, the way they shot it, she thought about it and then she jumped out and that was it. So it wasn't like Tariq, had anything to do with that. It's just the plan didn't go down the way it was executed. And the other thing is, I laughed also because where the hell was Diana and Drew at this entire time? They're supposed to meet Monet. And they waited. They didn't get there until after she got shot down. So I'm like, what were they doing that whole time? Because Monet was just taking people out left and right, getting up, making her way up to where Kane was at. So they took them an awfully long time to get there. But I understand it happened for dramatic effect. My babies, there you go. But yeah, that was very crazy how that went down.
Yeah, that's funny.
Go ahead, Dana.
The only thing that you could be at fault is with Tariq not shooting Carter right there. That is something that I don't understand, and I know you wanted to carry the story and to make it dramatical, and now he's all locked up. That, to me, I just was so frustrated. Because remember when that cop came at the very beginning, the one that kicked off this whole thing, and he shot the cop. Was it him that shot the cop, or was it Braden? Am I getting information confused? I'm old. Remember the agent?
You're talking about Agent Young in the beginning of the
very first episode of
Tariq. Yeah, Tariq killed him as well. So yeah.
He had no problem with shooting an actual. The more that I think about it, the more I'm getting frustrated. He was an agent who was higher in the ranks than Detective Carter. But the whole thing is, we can't kill a cop. Look at the cops. The cops are going to come after us. He killed an agent.
Well, you know why that is. Because he took it personal because, hey, that's Angela. He's related to Angela, so I don't like Angela because she ruined my family. So that's why it was personal. He said, I got to take this guy out.
But it's just, you have this whole big monologue about, I understand that the other ones are like, I don't want to screw with the NYPD. Nah, that's on you. And then he's like, it's NYPD. But he doesn't kill him, but he killed the agent, and you're upset because your daddy had an affair. And even if, this goes deeper, because even if Angela never existed, Ghost would always be having affairs because he genuinely, to me, came off as someone who hates Sasha. He hates that woman. He fucked in the head. Remember, fucked in the head. He doesn't like her. He hates her. So, and I understand as a kid, displaced anger and nobody had any therapy. Great, cool, whatever, but you killed an agent. And you couldn't do the same thing when it came to Detective Carter. And that just frustrated me. And that's it. End of rant.
I do want to make a quick comment. I want to make a comment because I know how they could have fixed that, but obviously they didn't go that route. Maybe they will. I don't know if they're going to do that in the finale. We mentioned before, Carter made the comment to Tariq the first time he met him. Oh, so Tasha's, a lot of people are gunning for Tasha. She's out of WITSEC. I would have thought there would have been some type of threat that he made to expose her or go after her. And that never happened because the thing is, this is why I question when you got to the point of Tariq, when they had this whole plan and then Davis tells Tariq, you got to take out Carter. It didn't feel to me like it only got personal when Carter and Noma set it up to have Monet and Tariq taken out by the Russians, and that failed. I felt like they needed to take it a step further and involve his mother because we know how important Tasha is to Tariq. That would have made this, then you understand, okay, now I need to take this guy out. But they didn't go that route. So now I don't know if they're going to try that in the finale, but clearly, because he says he has the evidence, I'm like, is that really all it's going to take to stop Tariq? I mean, it feels like there has to be something else, but I have no idea though. But
okay,
we'll see.
Just to piggyback, you know what would have been amazing if they had a cut scene and they mixed it in was as Detective Carter is in the chair all tied up with the police raiding Tasha's home.
That's yes. Yep.
Arresting Tasha and I forgot the daughter's name all of a sudden, but arresting the daughter as well.
That would have been
in the back of the police car.
That would have been perfect.
Man.
That would have been absolutely perfect. And then the other thing is Nico, right? The writers are very slick with the writing with the Nico character because last week we were talking about that he went to meet up with Noma and he took the money. Then when he met with Carter and told him that he met with Noma, he said, "Oh, I didn't take any money though." So I was waiting to see, is this guy going to turn on Carter? That did not happen in this episode. He seems to be fully on board. But again, I don't know if they're going to do a swerve in that last episode where he says, "Oh no, Carter, I know what really happened to Felicia, so on and so forth, and you're behind this." I don't know if they're going what they're doing with that. But I was waiting for that to happen in this episode. So I don't know if it's going to happen in the next episode. We guess we have to wait and see.
I wish she would have made a comment when she saw Nico and Carter together. Be like, "Ha," or something. Because then,
Yep.
Because remember, Nico was supposed to be there, but instead Carter was like, he told me. Ha. So
yeah, and then I agree because they both met up with her. They both met up with her and Kane in this episode. So I agree, but I guess very interesting direction. But there was some misdirection in there, so I got to give them credit because I was thinking Nico would turn on them, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it could still happen. We'll have to wait and see if that happens in the next episode. But Richard, I do like what you said about Kane. Like, do you think that they should have brought Kane into the plan? Once they found out that they were set up to die, basically, Tariq and Monet, should they at that point have brought Kane into the plan? Because I know their whole plan became like, oh yeah, we're going to get back at Noma, we're going to get her during the wedding and all that, but Kane has nothing to do with it, we're just going to go for Noma. That was like their whole logic. But should they have just like called Kane and like just told him? In fact, I think one of them spoke to Kane on the phone. I can't remember now, I haven't watched the episode again, but should they have just told him, and brought him into it? Like,
well, here's the thing, I understand why they didn't. They could have, but then you wouldn't have gotten that heartfelt confession when he revealed to Noma about why Monet is important to him. You wouldn't have gotten that revelation from Kane. So I kind of understand why they didn't do that. But at the same time, because Monet knew at the time that whenever they was going to pull this off, she didn't want Kane to be anywhere near Noma. And then they had this plan where they were going to try to distract. The guards were going to go in. They were going to try to distract Kane so he's not there. It just didn't work out the way they anticipated. But I understand why they didn't tell him, because I don't think you would have got the revelation from Kane about why his mom is important to him. And in this episode, you had the two moments. You had that revelation, and then prior to that, you had basically his mom telling him that she loved him and all this other stuff. So I understand why they didn't do that. But yes, it's a complicated situation. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, I mean, from a writing standpoint, yeah, I understand why they didn't, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just should they have? Would it have made sense to bring him in? I don't know. What do you think, Dana?
No, they spent too much time setting up and emphasizing. Monet kept emphasizing that she does not want this anywhere near Kane. She kept saying that. I don't want him to know. I don't want anything because they're gonna hurt my baby. They're gonna get my baby. That's my baby. So, in a way, you could argue they were respecting Ma's wishes by not doing that. And then that would be even more devastating to Kane by knowing, hey, my mom was even trying to protect me from the beginning, and she knew that she could die protecting me, and she was okay with that. She was the one that really made sure that I wasn't anywhere near this. So to me, that's more dramatical, and you could see even Kane doing a bigger turn. What the turn is, we don't know, but that's even more weighty. So I like the fact that they kept him out of the dark.
Yeah, I think he's like once he learns that they planned all this, he's definitely going to be mad. Though I think he's going to be mad about the fact that they didn't tell him.
And it's a reflection of this entire season because the season was technically about the fractured family. The theme was them being fractured. And they've never been on the same plan except for when dad was home. Daddy's dead and everything fell apart. So I'm okay with them keeping him out of the loop. Was it smart? Hindsight is only, what is that thing? I forgot the term. But hindsight, you would have been like, hey, we should have kept doing it. But that didn't happen. But you don't have that hindsight. So for the moment of with the hand that they was dealt at that moment, it was fine.
Yeah, and I guess the argument could be made that they wanted Noma to feel like the wedding was going according to plan, I guess, and that could be a reason why they didn't tell Kane as well because they wanted it to feel normal, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. I want to see what some of the people have to say about that. But so yeah, let's get to the trailer. So what do you guys think of the trailer? Obviously, it's a very, like the last one, it's a very edited and put together trailer that, it's kind of hard to, get a clear understanding of everything that will happen. But there are some interesting scenes in there, like the one Richard mentioned where Tariq is running with Anya in there. So yeah, like what do you guys think of the trailer, and also like what are your predictions for this finale? What are you expecting? What do you think is actually going to happen? Me personally, like I said earlier, I think Carter is going to talk his way out of the warehouse, where they have him captured currently. Like I think I think he has plans already. I think he has plans that he set in motion, and he's going to make Tariq aware of these plans, and then maybe the episode from Tariq's perspective becomes him having to maybe get this evidence out of Carter's hands, or trying to save his future, basically, like because maybe Carter has too much damning evidence on him. Maybe they even know about the drug dealer they killed for Elle, because of the fact that she OD'd and stuff. Maybe he knows about that. Maybe he knows about Salim. He knows about Zion. He's got all of that. And also, I do think the Tasha element could come into it. Like maybe, like was it Dana who said that? I think, yeah, Dana. Maybe that actually happens. I could see that happening where Carter knows where she is and chooses to use that against Tariq. Like so I could see that from Tariq's perspective, and then also it's going to be hunting Noma. I remember there's an airplane scene in there, so I think Noma is trying to flee. She's trying to get away, and maybe like they're trying to hunt her down and make sure she doesn't leave the country or something like that. So that's what I could could see maybe happening, but you know, it's so hard to read these trailers sometimes. But what do you guys think about the trailer, and what do you expect to happen in the next episode? And I'm going to go to you first, Richard.
Well, first and foremost, a very interesting trailer. Makes mention that it has all led to this. All the moves have led to this. It's the end of an era. All of the stuff to let you know, yes, this is it for this series. So, like I mentioned earlier, there was a scene where where Tariq, he is mad because he's saying, D, why did you do that? I think that Diana is going to kill Anya. You see her shooting at somebody in this episode, her and Drew, you know, in the distance. I would not be surprised if she does go after and she does kill Anya. Eventually, Tariq is probably going to tell Anya in this episode, yeah, your mom killed your father, and I have been involved this entire time in what's been going on with all of them. I mean, all that, everything will come to a head in the finale, I feel. There was a scene of Diana yelling at Kane, and it looks like Kane is in a shootout right outside that hangar area where the escape plane is at for Noma to get away. So something might happen to Kane, although I would hope not, because Woody has done an outstanding job as the character. I don't really think that character needs to go anytime soon, but it looks to me like, and then the other thing is, like you said, Gary, Davis is telling Tariq, he has mentioned, but said Tariq, he says, Carter has something on you, so you need to get something on Carter. So I kind of feel like Carter could talk his way, like you said, out of getting killed. But then Tariq is going to have to be smart to try to take him down. And I really don't know how that's going to come together. Maybe we will learn more about what happened with his wife. There's some other connection there. I have no idea. But what I will say is the trailer looked exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next week. And I do expect more bodies to drop.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So someone's getting taken out next week, that's for sure. And Dana, how about you? Are you ready?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I was looking at the notes and rewatching the thingy. The thingy is good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. People are forgetting. I watched it with subtitles. I listened with my ears. I listened with both of my ears. I listened with 4 ears. You got the headphones too, so that makes 4. This whole episode, who was the one name they kept saying repeatedly? D. Who is D? Diana. This to me seems like it's going to be a Diana, maybe not centric, but Diana is going to do either some good shenanigans or some bad shenanigans, some bad trouble, some good trouble. I don't know. But it was D was the one with the name was shouted out. And the other one was, why did you do that? We saw Ashley crying in the corner, but it was all screaming D. D, I think, does something really dumb. We've seen also in this, Ayana, what is that baby's name? Ayana finds out the truth about her mother. It seems to me, because she was standing, her back to the camera. Noma's there. Only person that I know who would speak to her mouth, to Noma, who's a woman, would be the daughter. The daughter is hysterical, and she finds out, I feel, what her mother is actually doing, who she really is. That is why we go to a mansion. This is not the Kane's house or anybody else's house. Again, mansion. Where does this mansion come from? This doesn't look like it's somebody's, you know what I mean? It doesn't look like it belongs to the Tejadas, and it's definitely not Tariq, and it doesn't look like it's part of the school. So it looks like we're on an estate. And so we see men in this estate, and we see her screaming, her being Noma, screaming in the hallway. And we know that Anya takes off running. So that relationship seems to be completely kaput. We have also, it talks about Detective Carter. If you kill me, your life is over. Is it really over, or is it the beginning of something new? And this is, again, has to go with me my own personal thing, I think I was being too harsh, and I'm going to apologize again because sometimes I am slow. This is about the beginnings of Tariq. So, with that being said, and I said that he can't be the apex predator at this point, I believe that this is how he begins to be the apex predator in this finale. I think whatever happens in this finale defines him into being the next Ghost, or I don't know, the next Pookie and them. In terms of he has that path of being Ghost or going a completely different way. Either way, I feel that this finale is going to change him forever. And this is when we probably get the apex predator. Because we're at a position now, to me, now I could be over dramatical with this. You see that it's Tariq the one that's actually wielding the power against Carter. And one of the things that David says in the trailer is, he has something on you, you need to get something on him. Now that's the one thing that I don't know. What can that be? Can it be, here is all of the evidence that Detective Carter was really doing. Here is how he was actually a part of the drug business. Here's how he, put drugs and operations to work. He's actually the scam artist. He is New York's Eric Adams. Sorry, had to sit all in there. But to me, it felt like this is the one power, this is the position where we see it. We see a visual. If you want to be dramatical, Carter's the one that's sitting down the entire time. Tariq is the one that's standing up above him. He is the one that's wielding the power. And so him working with Davis is to help him get that power. Davis has access to files. Effie, remember, she's a hacker. Who's to say that she can't hack into somebody's NYPD stuff? Who's to say that all the files that Carter has, maybe in the midst of his ego and his dumb-dumbness, he was like, I'm going to put it on this computer, titled under evil things I've done in my past. I don't know, just throwing it out there. But we see her, right? So who's to say that she is not the one who's able to dig up these files, to find out what's going on, and therefore he has the upper hand. And then he becomes the apex predator. And as you guys were saying before, he sucks when it comes to executing things. He's terrible. Why didn't you shoot the guy? Why didn't you do this? But the one thing he can do is plan. So who's to say that he can't be the next Ghost? But he's the thinker of the Ghost. Maybe we're looking, or I'm gonna put this all on me. I'm looking at this wrong. And maybe you can be the next Ghost without having to be on the streets. You can go to college and everything, and that's kind of what Effie is doing. You can go to college and still be the king of whatever it is that you want to be the king of, but now you're behind the computer. And if you look at it, it's really a thing of what society today. And this goes back to which is the power that we don't like? Force. It goes back to force. Remember when Tommy was talking to his nephew and he was like, nah, I put everything on TikTok and we sell stuff through TikTok. So maybe if not, he's the Ghost version, but it's technology. I don't know. I could just be talking too much. But that's to me kind of what I have here with this whole situation. And Braden's a ride or die no matter what, as we've seen, a little crackhead, but he gonna ride or die. And who's to say, remember Bubbles from Power? And then remember Kendrick Lamar's version when he did the original Ghost? Maybe that's who Tariq becomes. Remember him? And he was with Kanan, and he was the one who set up the guy so that Kanan can kill him. And then he rode in his little bicycle and took their shoes. Who's to say that's not Braden? Little crackhead, but he knows what's going on, and he's gonna follow Tariq no matter what. So that I think that Noma's end is going to finally come, and she's gonna meet her downfall. And we do see that her. How the original plan was for them to kidnap her and make a negotiation deal. We're past that point. And what would be more heartbreaking to learn that your daughter left you, and it's all because of you. It's not because Tariq did this or Pookie over there and she ran off with her boyfriend. She chose to leave you because you're that evil and despicable. She wants nothing to do with you. And then we have the police. I'll be done in a second. But so the police that we do know connected to Carter, but who's to say who else is they arresting? We see, what is it, Drew and I believe Diana on the ground, like this, and it wasn't like, a big thing. So who's to say that they're not coming for Detective Carter? Because he has his little gang squad. And you have your little squad, but his squad, what we've seen, these were people. So who's to say that these are not the task force? This could be some other groups of people that's coming in to arrest Carter. Because again, we have to look at how it's edited. Now, I could be completely wrong because these are the series. I'm going on how you edit something. I've never seen the episode. I don't know what's popping off, but it makes me even excited. It makes me even more excited. And then we have a shootout. So, what's gonna happen? I don't know, but I look forward to what ends up becoming. And Kane, he's in the midst of his grief, and when you're in your grief, you're either gonna shut down or you're gonna just act a mess. And I don't know which one we're going to get. We get him crying and we get him being upset that he wasn't involved. But I don't know what's going to happen. There was a lot of shouting, but nobody said, Kane, no. They all said, D, what did you do? So what did dumb Diana do? Because every time Diana tried to execute something, it's a little dumb. I wonder. But I rest my case.
Can I make 2 quick comments? It's going to be very fast.
No.
Let me just say this. In regards to Detective Carter and getting some dirt on Carter, I will be not surprised. I actually would like this. If whatever the secret is, it has to do with his wife. And it would be very interesting if he had something to do with her getting taken out. That right there would be great because they've been very vague with what happened to his wife. You hear his version of the story. So I want to see where they go with that. I'll say that. And my second comment, if Starz ever listens to this broadcast, if they're going to be giving out a ton of spinoffs, I need to see my Power Recovery spinoff with Braden and Jannard, because that could be a very great comedic show.
Oh yeah, we need that.
Like we need a comedy. Oh Jesus, we need a comedy.
Yeah.
So that works. Power comedy. Oh my gosh, and again, he does have money. So who's to say? Dude could just end up in rehab. He could be like, remember at the end of Friday with oh my God, I can't remember anyone's name.
Smokey.
Pookie. Was it Pookie? Smokey.
Smokey.
So remember at the end with Smokey, he was like, and then he went to rehab. Dude, just go to rehab. His family misses him. He ends up in rehab with his sister. So then there we go. He's not going to be Bubbles. But yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. So, woo.
Power comedy series, that would be interesting. But yeah, I do think that's a great point that you raised, Richard. I do think Carter's wife, the real story about his wife, I think that absolutely needs to come out. And maybe the twist is that, because I know the way it's set up now, like they have it where his wife got killed randomly. Did they say it was like at a hospital or something? I can't remember. They said there was a shootout or something and his wife got killed. But what if the twist was, because they made it sound like Carter turned dirty after that, like because of his wife getting killed. But what if the twist is he was always dirty and that's why she got killed? Like, because he was already doing dirt and he got her killed because somebody was retaliating against him, And maybe Tariq and Effie find that out because, like you said, she's a hacker. In the trailer, she's doing some robot stuff. So, maybe they uncover the truth. Go ahead.
So then this gives everyone a happy ending at the end of the day. Effie could have, again, I don't believe actors when they're like, I'm really sad about what happened. Oh, I died. Because, we've seen that before. So with that being said, she ends up hacking the file. Carter goes. Noma is already gone. So then Effie is free. and she gets her happiness at the end. And all that crying, maybe that's after she found out Monet is dead. I don't know, but I like that. And I like that plot twist. That's a good plot twist. So you go, Gary. You go, Glen Coco.
If you want to put some extra sauce on it, maybe it was Tommy that killed her. Maybe he was tied up with Tommy and Ghost somehow. Maybe there's some connection there. It could be something like that. I don't know, but
No,
yes.
I like the original one where like he was dirty. She saved the files. She confronted him. Boom, boom. He actually killed her. We're gonna blame Pookie, the drug dealer over there, have him arrested. You get the huge parade. Oh, I love you, baby. It's a whole Diddy situation, allegedly, with Kim Porter, allegedly. So, gotta love it, allegedly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
we'll
kitchen's
see.
on fire. Hold on.
Okay. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this week. Of course, we're all excited to see what actually happens in the finale. We could sit here for hours trying to predict it, but these episodes always kind of throw us off. And other things end up happening that we didn't expect. So, we'll leave it right there. I do want to see what the people in the comments have to say this week and what the predictions are. Please do leave your predictions and let us know your thoughts on Monet's death, and what her death signifies to the series and everything. But let's get some final thoughts and then we're out of here. Dana, do you have anything final you wanted to say?
Drew, unfortunately, very sadly, becomes a man. Not Drew. I meant Kane. Because remember, the whole situation with Noma was that she killed Monet because he had her ear and she wasn't able to control him. So now we get the full unleashed beast. The beast is fully unleashed when it comes to Kane, and he has no one. And I wonder who will be that ear. I don't know who's to say that he doesn't leave with Effie. I don't know. And they both end up in California together. I don't know, but here's the thing. Kane did do that monologue when he's like, this is my home. The streets are my home. This is where I belong. But maybe he can be streety in California, and that's when we get our California spinoff. So yeah, overall, really great episode. I loved everything about it, and even though I criticized because I love and I care, and I love the show. So yes, I'm very happy about what could happen. I'm very excited for the finale, and I hope that it doesn't suck.
Yeah. I'm sure it won't suck. I'm sure it's going to be, very interesting. I'm sure it's going to light up the internet next week. I can't wait to see what Twitter's saying after that episode airs. But
The return of Reina.
the return of Reina, yes, next week, and Ghost. But yeah, Richard, give us your final thoughts.
Yes, I thought it was a great episode. Definitely looking forward to the finale. I have no idea what they're going to do, but it should be very exciting, to say the least. But yeah, looking forward to hearing what everybody thought about the episode. So definitely leave your comments. Let us know your thoughts and theories on this episode and what you think is going to happen next.
Indeed. Yeah. So just want to give, big shouts to the regular commenters on this show. Big shouts to Motown Investor, Esther Negron, Raiwan. Big shouts to Raiwan because he's from the UK also. And also Tracy Lee, of course. She always leaves great comments. SJ Smith. And big shouts to Rainy J also. And Inga76, because I know she's still out there. She doesn't always comment, but I know she's still listening. So big shouts to her. And also shouts to MovieBot and DJ. I'm sure they're going to be having one of their spaces later on. So if you're on Twitter, definitely look out for that also. But yeah, that's it for now. We'll be back next week to cover the finale, the final episode of Power Book 2 Ghost. Like, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, I can't believe it's really the last episode, like, of this show. I know there's going to be more. I know there's going to be something else. I wouldn't be surprised if there is an announcement right after. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see this episode and to discuss it with you two here next week. So I'm looking forward to it. But until then, take care, everyone. Look after yourselves, and we'll be here next week. Peace.